and welcome again to another episode of This Song Sucks, the podcast where three musician pals get together and talk about the songs that we hate. I am Josh Kavanaugh. As always, I'm joined by Hayden. You don't know what it means to miss New Orleans Crawford. How's it going, buddy?
It's pretty good, man.
Did I redeem myself from the last one? Is that better?
Yeah, that was much better than the last one. The last one was fucking terrible, man.
Well, thank you. And we're also joined in the third spot today by Natalie. Can't decide which one of us she dislikes more, Morrow. How's it going, Natalie?
You know, if you pressed me, I could tell you.
I think for primarily both our egos, we'll just keep that conversation offline. We'll let the listener decide.
I wonder if it will change by the end of the episode.
Hopefully.
I have a feeling it's me right now.
I feel like I've known Josh K longer, which means there's just more to hate. So,
well, I'm not well liked.
that's his name, isn't it?
Natalie, since you're our guest, I'll let you introduce the song. What are we doing today?
Today we are talking about Billie Eilish's Bad Guy.
Bad Guy. Yeah, this is
Billie Eilish?
Billie Eilish,
Billie
yes.
Eyelips.
That's a new one. Yeah, this is actually one that I have really been wanting to do because the song annoys the ever-living shit out of me. And we'll see what the other two guys think about it. But as usual, we'll get a start off here talking about a little...
Watch it with the guys thing, man. Come on.
Sorry.
Well, he's already implied that he hates young women, so, I mean, I get it. Let's just roll with it.
There's a reason you're not well liked, Kavanaugh.
As you can hear already, there is a reason that we brought Natalie on, and it's to take me and Hayden down a peg or two.
Because I'm charming.
Several pegs.
So, like I said, as usual, we'll get started on some bio stuff, but she's a relatively new artist, so there's not a whole lot, but I think anyone who's followed her at all knows that there's kind of a lot of talk about her upbringing, specifically in regards to her parents being actors, and it kind of runs as a counter-narrative to her, I don't know, somewhat grassroots origin story. So we'll address some of that as we go forward here.
Like the 311 record, Grassroots?
Yes. Thank you, Hayden, for a complete non sequitur to a band that no one's talking about, has no relationship to the topic.
Omaha Style relates to everyone, Josh.
As try as you might, you're not going to shoehorn Omaha Style into every single episode we do. So her full name is Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell.
It's quite a name.
That's correct. One of her middle names is Pirate. Eilish is one of her middle names as well. Baird O'Connell comes from her two parents, Maggie Baird and Patrick O'Connell, both of whom are actors and musicians to some degree. Baird, she's known mostly for small roles in American television shows. She was in a bunch of episodes of LA Law, Murphy Brown, and my favorite, Walker, Texas Ranger.
She was in Walker?
Yeah, there's one credit. She's also done a bunch of video game acting, which we'll see is kind of related to our topic today.
Here's a question. Do you guys remember... Oh, excuse me, I said guys as well. Damn.
God damn it.
Do you all remember when Chuck Norris was a thing? Like Chuck Norris jokes?
Yeah, about him being this sort of hyper-masculine alpha tough dude.
Like the toughest dude.
Yeah, what the hell was that all about?
It's just people not being very creative.
So her father, Patrick O'Connell, also mostly known for small roles in TV and films. Apparently the biggest role I could find for him was in the original Iron Man movie. He was a reporter who asked one question in a scene or something. So, a lot of people talk about Eilish had these famous, rich actor parents, but mostly from what I saw, they're kind of working actors. They're not really particularly famous or insanely wealthy.
They only had a $5-7 million Beverly Hills mansion as opposed to 10-20.
But they worked for it, it seems. So Eilish and her brother Phineas were both homeschooled.
Oh, Phineas is her brother.
Phineas is her brother, yes.
Not her lover.
Interesting.
As some might think, I guess.
Is Phineas his birth name?
Hey,
yes.
There's a whole thing about how Phineas is, people are upset because Phineas's girlfriend apparently looks a lot like Billie. And I was like, well, this is weird, guys.
What was really going on in those bedroom recording sessions?
Oh, gosh.
You never know.
God damn it, Hayden. Completely off the rails already. But the two of them were homeschooled by their parents, and this is actually relates back to another episode we've recorded recently. But in a New York Times article, their father said the homeschooling was partly motivated because Phineas was born in the same year that Hanson's hit Mbop was released.
It's a good year.
And here's his quote from O'Connell. He says, "I was completely blown away by these kids. They were religious Oklahoma homeschooled, but nonetheless, clearly what had happened was they'd been allowed to pursue the things that they were interested in." So this guy heard Mbop and decided, I'm going to homeschool my two children.
I mean, he made the right choice, right? I mean, Phineas was on Glee.
Oh.
How much higher can you rise?
I have no idea if you can rise any higher.
You definitely can.
I don't know what Glee is. Can we talk about that for a second? What is Glee?
That's probably for the best. No. Nobody tell him.
We're gonna give you the classic Google it, Hayden.
I thought I'd ask my friends, and have conversation like a human.
Well, Glee is another way to express like happiness and joy. You wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, neither of us would. So Eilish's early interests included dance, horseback riding, and she, for many years, sang in the Los Angeles Children's Chorus. So that's where she gets her background in music. At age 11, she wrote her first song called Fingers Crossed for her mother's songwriting class. So apparently her mother took it upon herself to teach the children songwriting. And apparently Eilish drew inspiration for this particular song after watching The Walking Dead and taking lines from the scripts and episodes to use as the title in his lyrics. So normally when I watch an episode of The Walking Dead, I'm not inspired to write a song about it, but different strokes, I guess.
You stop watching after you watch one.
That's why you're not a pop star.
Yeah, I watch it for about 5 minutes and say, this is boring.
Man, you don't talk about a show that went off the rails after the first season. That show sucks.
Speaking of going off the rails.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Are we not
today?
just going to talk about comic books now?
We're talking about Billie Eilish, ostensibly.
Billie Eilish?
Yeah, Billie Eilish. Her career takes off in earnest in November of 2015 when she releases this song called Ocean Eyes. The song was written and produced by her brother Phineas, and I guess he decided that he would rather have her sing on the track. Apparently, the story is the siblings uploaded the song to SoundCloud because Billie Eilish's dance teacher wanted her to write a song to use for choreography in their dance class. I don't know how true that is, but the reality is the song had several 100,000 listens on SoundCloud within 2 weeks, which to me kind of raises alarm bells because the whole idea and the whole narrative is that this song just randomly got picked up and became huge. What I did find is that a recently defunct music curation blog called hillydilly.com started to write about it and picked it up after only 100 listens on SoundCloud.
Hilly Dilly?
Yeah, and we'll learn more about this. But, that sounds fishy, right? 100 listens from a random song, and all of a sudden it's on like this music blog that makes it shoot over the charts with how many listens it has.
Sounds like some money changed hands somewhere.
Yeah. So I did find this one article that kind of provides a contradicting narrative to this, again, as I said, this whole grassroots phenom narrative that's been constructed around Eilish. So from this article, quote, "What's never remarked upon in the Eilish origin story is that the blog Hilly Dilly and a number of others are written by kids underpaid by record labels to be cheap A&Rs with little disclosure of their major label connections. Instead of blogs existing as they did in the 2000s, Hilly Dilly simply was a proxy for Interscope's marketing efforts. When the song was released, Eilish was already more connected to the music industry than many artists will ever be in their entire lives." And what they're referring to with the connection is that her brother Phineas's manager, a guy named Danny Rukason, was already in contact with Phineas about developing Eilish's career prior to the release of the song. So, like, Phineas was already working in the music a little bit, had a manager, and I guess this manager noticed that his little sister was a musician too and said, hey, let's do something with her career. So just to kind of add more, what I think is a counter to this is here's like a quick timeline. of her first year or so as a public figure, which in my opinion shows that her rise was maybe less than organic. So as I said, November 2015, Ocean Eyes is released on SoundCloud. January 2016, so like 2 months later, Phineas and his manager arrange a deal with Apple Music. They sign Eilish to an A&R company, Platoon, which specializes...
We go straight to Apple Music?
Yeah. She gets signed to this A&R company, which, quote, specializes in packaging emerging artists. So, that's a little fishy. And then, no date was specified here in this timeline, but I imagine soon after, Eilish hires a publicist who connects her with the luxury fashion brand Chanel. Oh. So within like 5 months, she's got a publicist hooking up with marketing opportunities with a major fashion line. Ocean Eyes, a video for it is released in March on Eilish's official YouTube channel, and the song starts to receive heavy play on Beats One, which is Apple's 24/7 radio station, and also BBC One, and the popular radio station KCRW in Santa Monica. Her second single was released in 2016. It's called 6 Feet Under. It's released on SoundCloud with a music video following a week later. And then by August 2016, Eilish is signed with Darkroom, which is a subsidiary of Interscope Records. And then 2 months later, in November, they re-release both of these singles for digital download and streaming. So within a year, essentially, she's this unknown artist and then has 2 singles released by a major record label. The executive who signed her, I found this kind of deep in an article. This guy's name is Justin Lubliner, and he had this to say about Eilish. He goes, "From the start, the release strategy has always centered around breaking Billie as a project-based artist to not go into singles-driven world. We knew already that Billie's fans connected to her visuals, her identity, her performances."
I gotta say, Justin Lubliner does not look like I was expecting him to look when I Googled him.
Yeah, he looks like a frat douche.
Yeah, I was expecting a giant jowled businessman. You know?
He's like a young guy who just like, I mean, it sounds to me and everything that I've read that it's just like, we're going to package this girl as this sort of like identity rather than focusing on the music itself. So, I mean, that again, all that to say is that there was a lot written about her being this new model for success for artists in the digital streaming medium, and it just seems like it's mostly just the same old shit as always.
It sounds like Daddy's got some greasy palms.
I don't know if it was Daddy. I think it was just Brother who had
it's definitely Brother.
Yeah, had the connection and just...
I just wanted to say Daddy in a slightly sexual connotation.
And greasy palms.
You can still talk about Brother as Daddy, right?
Oh, man.
I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying you could use those words.
Josh, I swear to God, if you kink shame one more time today.
Damn it.
Sorry.
First the sexism, now he's kink shaming.
Why do we even podcast with this guy?
Yeah.
We should take over.
Fine, you can do all the editing, Hayden.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I was just telling Natalie how proud I am of you for working so hard on it while you were gone.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, well, I do okay.
Actually, I didn't say that at all.
He did say that you're nuts to do it, though.
Yeah.
It did come up, and he said Josh is nuts.
I think I called you a masochist.
Yes, that was it.
That tracks. So, anyway, Eilish's career continues to gain momentum in 2017. She releases another single, Bellyache, in February. In March, her next single, Bored, is so like just boom, 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 single after single. She was featured by Apple Music at South by Southwest in March of 2017. This song, Bored, was also featured on the popular Netflix show 13 Reasons Why.
How does she perform live? Does she just have like a Nintendo 64 on a stand beside her? I'm just trying to imagine her at South by Southwest. You know?
Well, I mean, South by Southwest is so hugely integrated with the record companies now that it's like going to any other concert.
The only thing good about South by is tacos.
That also tracks. That sounds pretty accurate. It's the only reason I would be involved.
Yeah.
Again, she releases 2 more singles that summer, and she starts headlining her first tour in July of 2017. So, year and a half, she's headlining her own fucking tour. Her first EP, Don't Smile at Me, is released in August of 2017. It would end up reaching number 14 on the Billboard 200. And of the 8 songs on the EP, only 2 of the tracks were not previously released. So it was just kind of like, here's a repackaging of the music you've already heard. And they ended up doing like 2 reissues that expanded the track total to 11. So it's basically just an album of all the stuff she's done up to this point. And this particular album, the EP as it's called, was certified platinum by November 2018. So, that's again about 2 years of music packaged together, platinum pretty quickly. Shortly thereafter, Apple Music names Eilish as their, quote, up next artist in September, which included the release of a short documentary and a live session EP. And it also roughly coincided with her management team working a deal to have Spotify promote Eilish on its most popular playlist. So, again, it's just an exponential, let's just shove this girl out there as much as possible, all these fucking deals happening. And at this point, I feel like, and Hayden and I were talking about this earlier in the week, there's a lot of comparisons to her music with Lorde.
I get them confused for sure.
But like only in the terms where they started strong and now are terrible.
Zing.
It's funny because we're going to talk about Bad Guy here, but like that song is so much different from the rest of her stuff. And listening to all the singles I've kind of listed so far, I'd say that music could be described as sort of generic, moody teen angst pop. I mean, I would guess that there's probably a lot of overlap between fans of Billie Eilish's music and fans of like CW television shows.
So people with good taste, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's all really depressing. It sounds like, for lack of a better term, it sounds like the soundtrack to a heroin overdose.
I will say I spent more time listening to Billie Eilish than I normally listen to the artists we talk about. And I was pretty shocked by how slow and like melancholy a lot of her catalog is. That's kind of like not at all what I was expecting.
This is like Hayden pop.
Man. Anyway, it really makes Bad Guy stand out as like one of her better tracks to me, even though we're doing that song.
So anyway, moving on. 2018 is filled with another headlining tour and the release of more singles leading up to her, quote, debut album, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? The album was released in March of 2019.
She's got pretty good album titles, I'll give her that. Don't Smile at Me is an awesome album title.
Yeah, I will agree with that. But here's just another like example of just crass marketing by the entities of musical power these days. So for the release of the album, Spotify created what they called a multimedia playlist and, quote, new product features that Spotify stated allow for vertical video content, custom assets, and editorial storylines, all with the goal of creating a more meaningful and engaging context for Eilish's fans.
Eat my balls, Spotify.
I mean, that's some serious marketing boardroom bullshit.
Yeah.
Spotify also set up a pop-up enhanced experience in Los Angeles, which included artwork and a multi-sensory experience for each track. So I guess it's sort of like a museum for her album. But again, just really aggressively pushing this out.
You know what else is a multi-sensorial experience? Jumping off a fucking bridge.
You say that. But like, let's say Spotify was like, hey, Hayden, we want to do this multi-sensory thing for Loggerhead, and it's gonna be huge. You'd do it. You'd absolutely do it.
There's gonna be literal squid tentacles strangling people listening.
Right. Or Josh, I don't know, jazz?
Just like just an old man snapping his fingers.
But you'd all do it. I would take that check for sure. Who wouldn't?
Well, of course we would. But I want to make fun of her about it.
I feel like the Loggerhead multi-sensory experience would literally just be a dark room with a tank and a couple of squid inside of it.
Just like not even cool squid, just like calamari squid.
One of those really, really sad aquariums at the beach.
Or just a video of me frying squid in a frying pan and crying while I do it.
That sounds pretty accurate. So anyway, this album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and the UK albums chart. This is the first of interesting stats and groundbreaking stuff that she's done. She was the first artist born after the year 2000 to have a number 1 album in the US and the youngest female artist ever to have a number one album in the UK. Upon the album's debut, Eilish broke the record for having the most simultaneous charting Billboard Hot 100 songs by a female artist after all but literally every single song but one on this album made the Hot 100 chart to various levels.
Damn. You know, I gotta admit something. We've been doing this podcast for a while now, and I still don't understand what the Hot 100 chart is.
I mean, there's a lot of metrics that go into it. I'm sure streaming has a lot to do with it nowadays, but it's just...
I just go along with it every time you say, like, oh, that's impressive. Hot 100. I don't know what it means.
I just assume it's the list that Casey Kasem used to read out every Sunday afternoon. Is that not it?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I have a distinct memory of listening to Casey Kasem on Y2K when Inside Out was number one on the year-end countdown.
I mean, it's just a standard metric to sort of gauge a song's popularity, and that's kind of why we've been using it. The song Bad Guy, you know, it actually peaked at number one and was on the chart for 49 weeks. I mean, we'll talk about how much we hate the song in a minute, but I will say one good thing about it is that when it reached number one, guess which song it kicked off the number one spot?
Hit me.
Old Town Road by Lil Nas X.
Oh, thank Christ.
So she's the one that dethroned him for that god-awful song. Which had been there for a record 19 weeks in a row.
Do you guys remember when the Black Eyed Peas held the record for Where's the Love? Y'all don't remember that?
I don't know if I remember that song.
No.
What?
Which one is that? I mean, I know that I do, but the title doesn't ring a bell. I know the song.
Yeah, it's like the one that Justin Timberlake does the chorus. I don't know. I'm not going to sing it to you, that's for sure.
Come on, Nat,
It's
sing
a
it.
really happy-go-lucky
It's a music podcast.
nonsense. Where is the love?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll just pretend like I know it so you don't sing anymore.
Thank you, Hayden.
The single for Bad Guy is officially 6 times platinum. It was number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 end of the year chart for 2019. Here's the real craziness. So her album won 5 Grammy Awards for Eilish in 2020. She became the first female artist and the youngest person to win the 4 main categories, and that includes Best New Artist, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Album of the Year. She also, in this award ceremony, won for Best Vocal Pop Album. And again, the next year, she won 2 more Grammys, one for a James Bond theme song, and then another for like some kind of vocal thing for one of her other singles. But she has 7 Grammys now. The album itself is quadruple platinum as of June 2021. So a lot of records for this young lady, a lot of ground broken. But again, kind of my thesis is that it's just the same old, here's the recording industry just really shoving this down everyone's throats.
Off-topic question: Where did the term Grammy come from?
Gramophone.
Oh, duh.
Oh, I thought it was just named after somebody's grandmother.
Yeah, I was thinking about I could thinking about my grandmother like giving me her cornbread recipe or something.
Thank you, Grammy.
Thanks for the cornbread, Grammy. I like how you put butter in it for me.
Hey everyone, just want to jump in here for a minute to let you know that we now have official This Song Sucks merch for sale. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and coffee mugs available. Head on over to thealabamatake.com and click on the shop link at the top of the page. You can also pick up all the other Alabama Take goodies, like the fan favorite Done Up Real Good t-shirt. Again, head to thealabamatake.com and follow the shop link. Thanks for your support, and now back to the episode. All right, so let's get into this song and the things that we don't like about it. I'll just pop off my list here. You've heard me harp about this kind of stuff before, but there's hardly any melody in this song to speak of in the vocals, which is always a downside for me. You know, the notes she's singing in both, I guess it's a verse and a pre-chorus, since there's the chorus is the little dumb instrumental melody that we'll talk about, I'm sure, for a while. But it just sort of shifts with the chord change. And so it kind of makes whatever little melodic movements there just seem like a complete afterthought. I mean, it really is. She's just singing chords to whatever lyrics she has going on. And like I said, that pre-chorus section basically does the same thing, but it's even less interesting melodically and harmonically. I mean, the very first intro part is just full of a bunch of harmonies that she doubles. And it's actually Hayden and I were talking about, it's actually a fairly impressive feat to have so many doubles and harmonies sound so good without any sort of pitch correction.
Yeah.
But it's no melody. It's just harmonies.
I will say that how succinct her syllables are and how clear and succinct they are is impressive.
Yes.
It's a rhythmic attraction, not a melodic one.
I got a counterpoint for Josh here on the melody issue. Mm-hmm. As somebody who listens to a lot of pop radio, like I'm in the car, turn on the radio, whatever's on, I'm going to sing along whether it's good or not. I don't care. It's all very melodic, whatever. It's all doing the same thing. But then something like Bad Guy comes on, and it's, while you say there's nothing there, it's totally different than everything else that's playing.
That's a good point.
And I'm in, you know?
I mean, it really is just two notes kind of back and forth for the main melody in both of those sections. And of course, like I said, changing with the chords. But yes, I will agree that compared to most pop music, it is certainly a little more, there's more there.
It's just different.
I think its starkness is what is like the best part of it.
Yeah.
Personally.
And I think that's kind of why it's actually a letdown, is that I think it is kind of a good intro, and then there's just no more meat behind it. It doesn't really go anywhere.
It definitely doesn't go anywhere, but that's all it makes it even more impressive that it is as successful as it is without going anywhere.
I guess that's a good point.
I think I like this song, you guys.
Oh shit!
I don't know.
We got to start over.
This is one of those songs where the first time you hear it, you're like, I think this is bad. Then you hear it again, you're like, oh nope, changed my mind. I'm in. Which is not the mark of a good song, but I'm still in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence right now. We'll see how I'm at the end, but I don't hate it right now.
What are the Eilish fanboys and girls called? Because Hayden's about to join that club.
The Silly Billies.
Is that it?
Ooh, nice one.
I don't know.
The Billy Goats, except greatest of all time acronym.
Maybe it's the false eyelashes.
We need to workshop.
Let's talk about video games.
We'll get there in a second. One of the things I hate about this is when she says "duh" before the hook. I mean, cool, you're a teenager that said "duh" with attitude. Thanks for reminding me of 1995.
You're just upset that you used to get grounded for saying "duh," and you didn't get a Grammy for it.
Excuse me, it was no duh.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I was half expecting her to be like tubular and radical immediately afterwards.
Sick.
If we would have gotten a psych at the end of it, that would have been great.
So the next thing is, I have a hard time understanding the point of the shift at the end of the song to what is essentially a completely different song for the last 45 seconds.
I do have a point about that, and it speaks to like where she drew a lot of her inspiration for what she wanted to be from. She's a huge Odd Future fan, Tyler the Creator fan. I don't know how familiar you are with Odd Future and like the mixtapes they made in the 2010s, but that's a move from their playbook kind of thing. And her video is like directly mimicking the dancing style from one of their videos too. So I think there's a pretty strong correlation between that world and hers.
Oh, that's something I didn't know ahead of time. It's still in my mind just seems, I thought the track changed. And apparently we watched this video where her and her brother are being interviewed about it, and that was actually the first part of the song they wrote. And then to have that sit there for however long, and they come back to it and essentially just write a completely different song in front of it.
Do you think that was I think that's just brother saying, hey, I'll throw you the bone here. We'll let you have your part of the song at the end. But here's this actual song we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's really just textbook Phineas behavior, if you ask me.
That guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few songs I've heard before that kind of make this drastic shift work, but it just feels tacked on just listening to it out of context.
The video helps make it better.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I could see that, but it's just, like I said, when we're talking about that melody or the kind of simpler melody and the harmony up front that is sort of a good intro, you just get less and less melody and interesting harmonic content. And so by the time you get this, it's even more stripped down and devoid of any sort of like musical interest to me, that kind of makes it even more jarring, in my opinion. So that's really all I have to say about that. The next thing, and we'll get to the video game thing here in a second, but this is also, I think, something that Hayden's probably going to disagree with me on. I do not like her whispery style of singing in general.
You can suck a dick. Some of us can't help it.
Yeah, you could suck your own dick, actually.
Well, okay, here's
Cut your ribs out right now on air.
but it's just particularly creepy to me in this, even more so in this particular song. I mean, Natalie, your voice, yes, does have a whispery context to it and sound, but the thing is that
I actually credit her as ghost vocals when I credit her on a record.
Yeah. Dick.
But no, her thing that she does is completely different. I mean, this microphone has to be inside her fucking mouth. She's so close-mic'd that you...
Don't be crass, Josh.
I mean, they're very forward in the mix, and they're also panned in this weird way. I mean, the whole experience of listening to the vocals on this song reminds me of having auditory hallucinations right before falling asleep.
But isn't that kind of her vibe, though?
I just don't like it.
It's gothic, Josh. Come on.
All week I was trying to, like, remember...
So you're scared of her?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we'll just lay it all out
You're
there.
scared of successful women.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we
okay.
could have
See how
finished
it
this
is.
at the beginning of the podcast. We knew it.
No, but, like, all week I was trying to think of what her vocals reminded me of, you know, and I was like, what's that thing where people record themselves, like, crinkling paper and making mouth noises close to a mic?
ASMR.
Yeah. So it led me down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out what the fuck ASMR is.
It's gross. People should stop.
I don't know what you're talking about, but all I can think about is the little thing people make where they do the paper and it like gives your future. What's it called? you know
A fortune
what I'm
cookie?
talking about?
Why did you go that direction?
I don't know. He started talking about crumpling paper.
Like a cootie catcher thing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's something totally different.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, again, I will say that I think Billie Eilish is a talented singer, and she does have a nice voice. But again, particularly in this song, the close micness of it, it also kind of makes me feel like the well ghost from The Ring is going to come out and get me. It's creepy.
So you are just, okay, so Josh is just afraid of her.
You're just afraid of her. Yeah, classic Josh.
That's fine. Just own it, man.
Why don't you talk about how baggy your clothes are, Josh?
I don't give a shit about that. I mean, let's get to the last thing here on our list that I think we can talk about for a while, and it's the fucking stupid circus music hook, right?
Yeah.
There's no chorus. It's just this. We all know it. I made a riff of it to make it sound even more video game, but here we go. Just go up a fourth, because you don't have to actually write a different melody. You just go up a fourth. To the five.
It's called blues, man. It's called blues, Josh. Look it up.
So
Josh K will never write a hit because he doesn't know what people like.
I feel like I was at a polka dance.
And you know what used to be really popular? Polka. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying.
It used to be.
it's huge in Poland.
Waltzes are huge in modern music.
So there's a lot of comparisons to this to video games online, but Hayden, before we even looked at that shit, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard
Donkey
that?
Kong Country and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes. And that is, in fact, one of the ones that people kind of compare it to. I think it has a similar timbre, like sound to it. I mean, like, or Mario Kart, maybe. It's very clearly evocative of a video game for people our age who grew up playing video games like in the 90s. But the one particular song from that soundtrack that I found that it's not the same melody, obviously, but the notes, like the melodic figure, is the exact same collection of notes. It's the minor chord with the little flat 5 blues note in it.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here is DK Island Swing. Hayden's popping his fingers.
That's not the one I thought you were going to play.
Nothing is original. There are no original ideas. Why can't they just be inspired by video games?
I don't know. Why don't we all just kill ourselves? There's no point.
Well, that might be a step too far, but you do you.
Well, so even if it's not like exactly the same, I think the vibe, if you were to hear that part of the Billie Eilish song and someone was like, oh yeah, that's that song from Donkey Kong Country, you would be forgiven for making that association.
For sure.
But what about making that association makes it a bad thing, though?
I don't think a pop song out of the context of video game should be evocative of a video game, especially in the context of it
People
being
dig it.
annoying. I mean, I dig Donkey Kong Country, but I'm not going to sit there and listen to the soundtrack over and over again.
Well, hey, I did.
If there was a pop song that did that and took from different video games and like made it into a song, but it was by a young white dude, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, yeah, man, I used to play that game too.
That game was dope, dude.
I'm going to go dig that out of my mom's basement right now.
Well, we wouldn't be talking about it because it probably wouldn't have won 4 Grammys.
That's true.
But
you'd still be listening to it on SoundCloud.
He'd be reading an HVAC textbook. He would be listening
yes,
to anything.
I would. You're welcome. But like, if you think about those times you've played those old platformer video games and you get stuck on a part and you can't get past it, the most torturous part about it is having to hear those same 45 seconds of the song over and over again.
I half agree with you and I half don't. I kind of agree that maybe like reaching for a video game is kind of like a low-hanging fruit thing, but at least it's evocative of the golden era of like excellent game soundtracks. Like, it makes me think of really good ones, not really bad ones.
That's a great point, Hayden.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the Donkey Kong Country is a pretty decent collection of tunes.
I listened to a lot of Sonic 1 and 2 and Donkey Kong Country trying to find a particular phrase that it reminded me of. I couldn't find the exact phrasing, but I was just reminded that it's pretty quality work.
When you guys are ready to write a hit record based around the soundtrack of ToeJam and Earl, give me a call.
I was just about to bring up ToeJam and Earl.
Give me a call.
Funkatron, baby. We need to start a band. We need to start a band called Funkatron.
I'm in.
And then,
just
and
video
not
game
play
music.
funk music. Yeah.
Not play funk music.
So the next comparison that the internet has found is to the Goat Simulator theme song.
Okay, I haven't heard this one.
So melodically, I don't think it's very similar, but the chord changes there, and there's like mashups of it. But here's the section of it I think people are referring to. So 1 to 4.
It's a minor 4, though, isn't it?
Y'all are nerds.
Her song's minor 4 as well.
Oh, I guess it is. You're right.
All I know is both of you guys are bopping to all of those things. So what's your beef with the song?
I don't know if I hear that one as much, other than the obvious 1/4.
It kind of has a little chromatic melody to it, which is there's chromatic elements in the Eilish tune as well. Yeah, I didn't follow that quite as much, but I would suggest people go listen to the mashups because they work. And in fact, I think they're in the same key, actually, so it's not even that much work. But the big one that I think is kind of well known is the Plants vs. Zombies comparison. And Eilish I mentioned that Rolling Stone article where they talk about the creation of the song, sorry, not article, but video. And she even mentions, she's like, you know what this is? It's not the exact same melody, but this is totally Plants vs. Zombies.
And that it is.
And it is. You'll hear it here. The melody is centered around the same. It's the minor triad with the flat 5 added to it. And this is way more similar in terms of like the actual melody. So here is Crazy Dave, part of the Plants vs. Zombies soundtrack.
I'm just staring at a picture of ToeJam and Earl right now. Do you remember what they were doing on the cover, Natalie?
Yeah, you know that there's an Xbox version of that game now, and I play it all the time.
Oh, dope. No, I just didn't know that he was eating a very brown hot dog.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of a gross looking hot dog.
Does it have like the squiggly mustard on it?
Yeah, squiggly mustard on it, and he's wearing these like awesome like polka dot beach shorts.
Hell yeah. This is board shorts.
Earl is, that is.
Hayden, can the next album title for Loggerhead be Squiggly Mustard?
No. The next album title is Terrestrials.
Whatever. No one cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, I mean, again, there's mashups of this with the melody from Bad Guy as well, and it is very, very similar. I mean, you can just change the tempo, change a few of the notes around a little bit, and you've got Billie Eilish's Bad Guy. There was one that it also reminded me of personally that I didn't find any comparisons to. But I'm just going to lean into this because Hayden made fun of me in the last bonus episode for playing Final Fantasy. And here's a piece of music from Final Fantasy VII that I think has some similarities.
Oh boy.
So it's that sort of high-pitched, it's based off the G minor triad, just like Billie Eilish. It's annoying in the same way to me.
That one sounds very monarchy.
Yeah, I could see that, but
Old white people in gowns.
it might be a loose comparison, but to me it's very similar, both in its melodic structure and its level of nails on a chalkboard in my mind.
I'm watching gameplay of ToeJam Earl right now, Natalie.
Which map are they on?
Just the first one. The little cute little devils running around with the pitchforks.
Oh, look out. That'll get you.
As is the rest of our audience at this point, probably. So, Hayden, do you have anything to add? Do you still like this song now? What's your opinion?
Let's see. I think my problem is not as much with the song. It is with kind of like what this kind of music is responsible for doing to people's ability to consume more complicated melodic structures. I mean, like, it's just like, I don't really hate the song. I understand why it's popular, but it is really bland and monotonous and like easy to consume. And like, I think so much music has had to become that in order to captivate people's attention long enough to listen to it. Overall, I think it's kind of been bad for music.
Can you think of any examples of other music that kind of follows that line of thinking?
Everything that would come out of Nat's mouth when I asked what she listened to on the radio yesterday.
You can also suck a dick.
No, I mean, I know that sound like, I'm really not trying to be like some like annoying white guy about it. But like, yeah, I just do think that like the music is so overtly simple that it plays to dumb down audiences a little bit. I think that's the point.
I mean, most of the audience is dumb.
I know.
I mean, not like in like musically. I mean, they're not thinking about music or approaching music the way that you guys are. I mean, just to hear you guys talk about it and how the chord structure and all the whatever, that's great and all. But I don't know what it means. Nobody else does either.
Well, exactly. But I think people may used to have been more willing to like try to understand that than they are now. I would disagree, not in terms of they didn't previously enjoy more complicated music, but they're not thinking about it in that way. It's put on a bop in the car, and if it's catchy, I'm going to keep listening to it. And if it's not, I'll change to the other pop station.
But the thing that I have a hard time with is that to me, it's not a bop. It's thin. There's nothing in there that would grab on to my listening ears, even in like a fun sort of like guilty pleasure sort of way.
If she weren't such a gripping vocalist, then I would agree with you. But despite it not having a melody, like the performance, like I don't know, it gets me a little bit. Just the way she says her words rhythmically. I
mean, again, that makes sense. I just really have a hard time understanding how this was for Grammys popular.
That I can agree with.
Like it doesn't seem. Of her songs, as we said, her other songs are kind of downer, melancholy stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is probably the closest to a club jam. But it seems, I'm not going out to the clubs. I don't think any of us are. But it just doesn't seem like the kind of thing that people are like getting really down to. Oh,
I think that the whole chorus, that's just nothing but that melody or whatever what we're talking about. That's the club part. I mean, people are losing their shit dancing to that, and like they love it because I mean, this is all part of like the EDM thing getting big, electronic music. It's just something to jump around to. And when I say dance, I don't mean like normal people. I'm talking about what the kids do. The youths.
Well, do you think that maybe they're able to enjoy it in that context, being younger people?
Yeah,
they don't have the same connection to that kind of melody that we do, talking about the video game stuff. Like, that's not in their mind.
For sure. Why would it be?
Kids these days.
They ruin everything.
Sorry, Grammy Kavanaugh.
Well, Hayden or Natalie, do you have anything else specifically to say about this one?
I think I do have a comment, and I don't really know that I want to say this, but I'm going to anyways. Thinking about it's hard now that there's been like these weird like mini docs and like the big Apple TV documentary that they did on the making of this album. It's hard now to separate the music from the people. And not that I have anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with the people. I'm not saying that. But I think that the way that whoever is managing their like PR, whatever, their image, I think has done them a disservice in that they're oftentimes shown being maybe sometimes too whiny and then other times maybe too proud. Like nobody needs to be doing this like classic albums, like song breakdown, track breakdown at this point in their career.
Okay.
And I think that's hard to like separate. Before the song was just fun and I was into it, and now that there's this person or these people attached to it that I don't think they're portrayed fairly in these things as people. Because in like candid interviews, they seem like they're just fine. They're clever. They're smart. They're kids. But that's kind of my beef at this point.
That's a really good point, because I watched the making of that song. Josh made me watch the Rolling Stone video, and it did something similar to me, because like I was pretty annoyed by them by the end of that video, and I didn't really want to be, because I was already changing my tune on the song, So it definitely had that effect on me too. And
I don't think that's like I don't think that's a fair example of who they actually are. I just think there have been some missteps in whoever's managing their image in that way, I think.
Okay, so speaking of her image, this is something I wanted to bring. This is a great segue, and an excellent point by you. But I wanted to bring up about her kind of being a so-called feminist icon. Since we are lucky enough to finally have a woman on our show, I kind of want to get your 2 cents on it. I think it's interesting that she has like tried so hard to make socially conscious pop music, and has like tried and succeeded in subverting a lot of sexual stereotypes and traditional gender roles that are assigned to female pop stars, especially meteorically rising ones. So I think it's pretty dope, but like, how does it make you feel?
It doesn't make me feel any sort of way.
Exactly what I was going for. Perfect.
I mean, I don't know. Let me ruin this segment for you, Hayden, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of ways you can look at it. I think she was just kind of doing her own thing, and people responded well to that, so it got hyped. Like, she was getting the Chanel deals and all that are fitting her in the clothes that she wants to wear because people are into it and they respect that. And, a lot of people aren't going to get that kind of support if they make those choices for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
But do you think that, I mean, they are her choices, but the way she sort of marketed as against the grain sort of thing is very deliberate, which to me, if that is the case, seems sort of disingenuous from an industry that has continually over-sexualized young women to say like, but she's different and we're bucking the trend.
Yeah, for sure. But that's because that's the trend. I mean, I don't think feminism is a trend, but it's really like popular and everybody's talking about it and knows about it. So I think there is, that is the thing to support right now. Like if this young girl at that time, wants to say these things and dress a certain way, then a lot of other girls are doing the same way or doing the same thing. So it's just more, of course, I don't know if it's disingenuous, but they're still going to make money off of it.
It's all about that paper.
Yeah, 100%.
This is exactly the point I was trying to get us towards. Like, is it concerning then, though, that like, even though she's like doing this in a lot of ways the right way, that the same old white crony bastards are still making money off of it?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, she can do it the way that she wants to do it and that part be genuine, but of course people are going to make money off of it, and you can't do anything to change that.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're all screwed.
For sure.
The world, yeah. Climate change.
Wait, is it time for Hayden's YouTube corner now?
I think it is. I've got a doozy of one today.
Okay.
Y'all need a jingle for this segment, by the way.
I know. I keep telling you.
Again, I will say to you, you are perfectly capable of doing this yourself.
It's not like you have anything going on in your life, Josh.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Anyway, I was talking with Nat a little bit about this before you hop back on. At this point, I've analyzed so many YouTube comment sections. They're kind of like their own little microcosms. They're all so different from one another. And what happened in this one, I believe you made a comment earlier in the week. You're like, get ready for a lot of, men making gross sexual comments and stuff. And that is just not what happened at all here. And I could never have guessed that the rabbit hole is going to go down. So I'm just going to get towards it. The video itself has 1.1 billion views. So watch out, Ed Sheeran. Someone's coming for your cabbage here, buddy.
Is that a saying, coming for your cabbage?
It is now.
Or are you still playing ToeJam and Earl and did your guy just eat a cabbage?
No, you got to listen to episode 1 of season 1 to catch that reference, man.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I did. Wait, before you go, I will say I wanted a little tidbit. When we were having our pre-production meeting for this episode, and I was kind of talking to Natalie about, like, so you're familiar with the format of the show. I assumed you've listened to the podcast enough. She's like, yeah, about that.
I'm a really supportive friend. What can I say?
Anyway, I think the video is really awesome for this song, and I think it's part of the reason why I like the song a little more than I did beforehand. It's just an awesome video. If you haven't seen it, everybody should go watch it if they have not seen it. Anyway, the video itself has 836,000 comments.
Jeez.
So, yeah. And almost all of them, I mean, I would say I scrolled for an hour and 50, I clocked it for an hour and 15 minutes. So I got real deep in these numbers. And I would say 90 to 95% of the comments are all in reference to one post that happened a couple of years ago by a guy named Seth Everman, who is the guy I sent you the video of, Josh.
Right.
Now, he is a parody musician. He makes YouTube videos and does quick parodies of pop songs. He's bald and has a serious look on his face while he does this kind of his gimmick or whatever. He posted on this video, "I am the bald guy." That's it. And this went, I don't know what the step above viral is, because it quickly became, for some reason, this one comment became the most liked comment in the history of YouTube.
What, seriously? Like, how do you know that metric?
Yes.
Is it
3.4 million likes on his comment.
And we know that's the most ever on a YouTube video?
It has since been eclipsed, but at the time it was.
Okay.
And for a very long time it was. And so it became this meme where everybody just swarmed this comment section to like and comment on this one guy's comment and then talk about this comment.
And he just says, "I'm the bald guy."
That's all it says. So much so that his comment was removed. And there's a lot of people speculating on the comment section that Billie herself had it removed because because nobody was talking about her song. They were only talking about this comment. So I was like, well, I've got to find this thing, because everybody's complaining about not being able to find it the whole time. So I start down this dark path to try to find this comment. Because there are people towards the top that say, if you keep scrolling, you'll find it. I think that they're just trolls now, that after I wasted an hour and a half of my life trying to find it. But I'll give you a couple, there's people, as I get further and further down, there's people saying stuff like, finding Seth's comment is harder than making it to the moon. There's a lot of people who are obviously trying to do the same thing as me, simultaneously. These are from days ago. This is still a thing.
Oh my God.
So, let's see here. Yeah, because we got people saying things like, where the fuck is this comment? I've been scrolling for 3 hours and I can't find it. So it gets so intense after you get a certain amount into it. There are even imposter accounts that start popping up with a picture very similar to Seth Everman's picture, saying the same things, trying to go viral themselves. They're obviously imposter accounts, trying to recreate this. It even has its own official subreddit.
What?
Yeah,
discussing this guy's
this comment has its own official subreddit. So eventually I gave up on the classic scroll and I did what I should have done immediately, and I just Googled it. And there were a plethora of instructional videos for how to find the comment.
Just to look at it?
Just to look at it.
Oh,
so I found this service called Hadsy, which it specializes in organizing YouTube comments and likes. So you just enter the video URL and pull it up, and then that's how I was able to find the original post because of whoever had it hidden on the regular YouTube post. So I finally made it to my comment because I really wanted to read the comments for that comic. So that's a gold mine. Right. Yeah, not so much. It unfortunately it was really, really, really boring. The search itself was the interesting part. Finding it just made me remember that everybody needs to read more fucking books and put their computers away.
I will also say that, we talked about we're all doomed a lot on this podcast, actually.
Yeah.
But the fact that you said that there is a company who specializes in organizing YouTube comments makes me want to fucking drive off a bridge.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
And in that line, so I wanted to pull one funny thing. The only funny comment that I found that is unrelated to the Seth Everman thing, we'll let that go. But actually, as we've gone through this episode, I'm not sure this is not Josh in a fake account. But this guy's name is Jay Wilkinson, and he's the one white guy in a thin blue line T-shirt on his photograph picture.
God.
Oh boy!
And here's his comment: first you had mumble rap, and now you have mumble singing. Without the subtitles, it was honestly like, what the hell is she even singing? And even with subtitles, it's like, what the fuck was that? Thank you, America, for supporting such nonsense. Yeah, thank you, Jay. Seeing as how your main entertainment channel subscription on your YouTube page is CBS This Fucking Morning, you're really in tune with what's going on in the world. That's what this guy's watching when he gets on YouTube. It's like reruns of CBS This Morning.
I might have to change my stance on this song so I'm less in line with this fucking knuckle dragger.
I think this Hadsy app or whatever should hire Hayden because he's doing such a thorough job.
I did do a thorough job on this comment section. Yeah. Anyway, though, that guy, I mean, I think it affected me a little bit too. It's like, I don't like, how lame is it for some middle-aged dude to sit around and shit on this song?
It's pretty lame, guys. It's pretty lame. I'll tell you.
This podcast sucks.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create my own podcast that just reviews your podcast.
Can I be a guest on it? Since I'm the worst part of this podcast?
Well, that's not true.
Ouch.
I like how long it took you to make that.
Well, there's only 2 parts.
No, she's clearly referring to her husband, obviously.
Oh, I don't think we even introduced her that way. Lady of the Crunch.
Ooh, gross. Sounds like I need to see a doctor.
I'm glad I didn't pick that as her nickname.
Real quickly before we end here, Adam had to come in before you came back, Josh, to start the podcast to help her with a power issue, and he was wearing like weird athletic shorts pulled up too high and no shirt, and he looked like a total bum.
How's that any different from normal?
Exactly.
Well, he didn't have his Crocs on, so it's a step
He didn't have his camo Crocs on, and he was watching dodgeball.
Guys, it's the weekend. Come on.
Are the Crocs the gardening shoes?
Well, he's got his going out Crocs and his gardening Crocs.
Talk about something that makes me want to kill myself.
Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. We'll wrap it up there. Hayden, thank you as always. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us and putting us in our place. We look forward to it.
You should really get rid of that thin blue line T-shirt, Josh. It's not
Yeah.
We look forward to having you again. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time. This Song Sucks is brought to you by the Alabama Take. Follow us on Instagram at This Song Sucks Pod and find our blog at thealabamatake.com. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can even email us at thisSongSucksPod@gmail.com.